Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. This will be a review of Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 11, entitled Charge. And man, this episode was excellent. First thoughts. As stated earlier, this episode started out with a bang. It was an intense episode throughout the entirety and had a really crazy reveal at the end, as well as the interesting dialogue of many characters, including Bertolt, Mikasa, Armin, and Irvin Smith. The writers really went out of their way with the dialogue in this episode. I loved it. So let us begin. The plot. So in the beginning, we see Reiner running from the forest. Along with him on his shoulder is Ymir in her Titan form, and she's carrying Historia in her mouth. Bertolt is carrying Eren on his back, and he's on Reiner's other shoulder. Erwin is now using his scouts as bait to lure the Titans towards Reiner. When it switches back to Reiner, we see Ymir pull Historia out of her mouth. Ymir partially exits her Titan body and explains to Historia why she is going along with them, as in why Ymir has joined Bertolt and Reiner and why she's bringing Historia along. They argue, they cry, they rage, and they feel a strong sense of connection with each other. Bertolt cuts in and reminds Ymir what he and Reiner did to help her get Historia back. The scene closes with Historia promising to be Ymir's ally. Immediately in the next scene, we see some scouts trying to scale Reiner's body, only to have Ymir throw them down and stop them. Then Ymir's eyes get slashed by none other than Mikasa, who in the frenzy tries to get Eren from Bertolt's, but fails. Ymir comes in again to strike Mikasa. Mikasa goes in for a killing blow until Historia stops her. Historia pleads and begs Mikasa to not kill Ymir. That leads to Mikasa's epic speech about war, choices, force, and the bitch she has to kill. I'll get more on that later. Next, we see the scouts come up to Bertolt in Reiner's hands, and they demand an explanation. Only then does Bertolt give in and explain that he never saw the other scouts as enemies, but he did have a duty that was not his own. Commander Erwin comes in from the opposite side with Titans behind him, and he's bringing the Titans in to race towards Reiner. Reiner decides that there's no other choice but to clash with the Titans. He and the Titans collide as he knocks a good half a dozen or so of them aside before getting dogpiled. An epic battle of Scout versus Titan ensues, following a rousing speech by Erwin. Once trapped, Reiner is forced to fight the Titans off with his fists, exposing Bertolt to Mikasa again. It's at this time that Commander Erwin gets snatched by the arm into a Titan's mouth. Despite this, he tells his scouts to continue to advance and keep going for the cause, and to not falter. Mikasa gets close again to cutting Bertolt and Eren loose. She misses, gets caught by a Titan. She gets saved by Jean. Bertolt declares that there's nothing that's going to stop he and Reiner from taking Eren back to their hometown. At this point, Armin swoops in and begins mindfucking Bertolt with lies about Annie being tortured. At hearing the idea of Annie being tortured, Bertolt snaps and prepares to attack Armin, only to be cut down by Erwin, who then frees Eren, all with one slash. Erwin slams back onto his horse. Mikasa takes Eren away. Reiner and Bertolt look salty, and the scouts begin their retreat, until Reiner begins launching Titans directly in front of the scouts, blocking their path to retreat. This barrage causes Eren and Mikasa to fall as they both try to get up and get back to retreating. With Erwin and the rest of the scouts, a familiar yet frightening face appears. The first Titan that scarred Eren for the rest of his life. The Titan that devoured Aaron's mother, the smiling Titan, reappears. And that's how the episode ends. Interesting things I noticed. The thing that stood out to me the most in this episode, other than the beastly animation, was the dialogue. A lot of freakishly good dialogue. But because there is so much epicness in this episode, I will split this session into two. One half is going to be about the interesting dialogue. The other half will be about the action sequences done by characters throughout the episode. How those action sequences really shined in the animation. So, interesting things I noticed. Epic dialogue. Bertolt. When the scouts were on Rainer's hands and pressing Bertolt to tell the truth, the whole sequence of Bertolt asking for forgiveness, him trying to explain that this was never their choice and that the scouts don't understand the situation. Also him basically saying that he never lied and he did see them as his comrades. This was a very intense and very emotional scene with very emotional dialogue and very intense dialogue that helped establish the feeling of the scene. Also, I love this part because I think the actor did really good here. The part where Bertolt says, "Shut your mouth, hellspawn. I'll kill you," was perfect. For a while, it's like the voice actor for Bertolt sounded okay, but I didn't think he'd be able to yell and put that much emotion into a scene like that. But I like the way the voice actor did that. That was good. In fact, I'll say he did great, in my opinion. Then there's the scene with Mikasa and Historia. Right after she gets cut off by Rainer's hands, Ymir attacks Mikasa. Mikasa dodges and gets ready to cut down Ymir. Krista stops her, and then we hear Mikasa give her speech in rage mode. And I quote, "Pick your side, Krista. Eren or the bitch I'm gonna kill." Unquote. Very good dialogue right there. I love that. And also, she looked really nice the way they designed her face when she was on Reiner's head talking to Historia at the time. The lines and the shading, really nice. But I'm going to get to that later. The next one with the epic dialogue. Armin. The way he was mind-fucking Bertolt with the lies about Annie being tortured. Whew. Armin pays so much attention to detail throughout the story. And this is no different. And him mind-fucking Bertolt was just brilliant. And the entire time, Armin knew this would get under Bertolt's skin and trick Bertolt into letting his guard down. Again, very good dialogue that just shows this really unique interaction and also exposes how incredibly intelligent and clever Armin is as a soldier. And also, finally, last but definitely not least, Commander Erwin is constantly speaking some of the greatest, most intense, and most motivating battle cries ever throughout the entire series. And this one is just on a whole other level. But I'll get to that later. The writers for the English dub really outdid themselves with the dialogue and the way they translated it. And the English dubbers, as far as I'm concerned, they did perfect. No problems, no flaws. Now, interesting things I noticed. Action scenes. Everything Mikasa does until her and Eren fall off of their horse or near the horse. I'm talking about pretty much the entire episode. Everything that happens until they see the smiling Titan again. Completely epic work by Mikasa in the way they made her do everything that she did. Everything. And she catches Eren and tries to flee with him after she sustains what should have been broken or at least cracked ribs when she got grabbed by the other Titan. Just intense scene after intense scene after intense scene. Nice. Another really epic scene in episode 11. Captain Erwin and his epic save of Eren. So let me get this straight. Let me break it down. It's a left-handed save with one arm, using his ODM gear, freeing Eren, while Eren is being held by two Titan shifters. After he got his other arm ripped off by a Titan, like, we didn't see that other scene, but how he even got away from the Titan, I would love to see that animated somehow. It'll probably never happen, but I would love to see that. That was just intensely good. Also, another scene that might be overlooked by some people, but I liked it. Reiner using the Titans as weapons to block the scouts from retreating. Also, Reiner knocks out about, it's either 3 or 6 Titans when he barrels into them. He then gets dogpiled by about a dozen of them, but when he releases only just one hand, he's able to knock out another half dozen of them. He loses Eren and then nearly gets Eren back by using the remaining Titans as roadblocks or boulders when he launches them in front of the scouts to block their retreat. Like that, the sequence is awesome. The strategy is awesome. Reiner's thinking is awesome. Just regardless of which side the character is on, so many characters are being so well written when it comes to what they do and how they do things within the storyline. So I loved it. But yeah, too much strategy and too much epicness is going on in this episode from these guys on both sides of the battle. Absolute craziness. Ooh, this is going to be fun. The animation. The animation was expressly on point. Some of the best animation sequences were A. Mikasa's eyes. The scene when Mikasa and Bertolt are staring at each other through Reiner's hands, through that gap in his fingers, both of their eyes were incredibly intense. Bertolt's eyes were filled with what looked like horror and maybe guilt, whereas Mikasa's eyes were filled with hate, rage, and what I would call a laser beam focus on retrieving Eren. So much detail was drawn into those eyes. Those beautiful, magnificent, yet haunting eyes of both of them. B. The 2 scenes where Mikasa tried to, but failed to get Bertolt and Eren away from each other. The first time she gets close only to be cut off by Reiner's hands. The animators show all 3 movements. Mikasa's coming in, and while she's coming in, they actually animate Bertolt flying away from her, and then they animate Reiner's hands closing, cutting her off, and keeping her separate from Bertolt and Eren. The way that was done, that had to have been done by multiple animators working on that scene together. Very nice scene, very nice sequence. The second time she gets even closer, but Bertolt is able to dodge. And as they sweep past each other in midair, again, another scene that was just flawlessly rendered, in my opinion. C. The epic save from Erwin Smith when he cuts Eren free with only one arm. The scene slows down and Eren is then caught by Mikasa. Throughout that scene, you see a beautiful use of lines, shading, light effects, shadow, slow motion, and facial expression of both Erwin and Bertolt. Again, these animators are on a whole other level. D. Reiner's Titan form slamming into the swarm of Titans. He first sends about 3 to 6 of them flying before getting dogpiled by another dozen. And again, enough cannot be said about how good these animators are. To animate all those bodies moving around like that in such bizarre, unorthodox, yet violent and strategic ways really is a feat of skill by the animators. Holy crap. All these animation sequences easily get one to appreciate the art and skill of animation. Too bad none of us know who these animators actually are. Whoever they are, they deserve an award for their work and their skill, and they are incredibly gifted. Also, I noticed that Mikasa called Historia Krista, which implies that only Ymir heard Historia's real name, at least partially. And the other scouts probably didn't, at least not yet. Best about the episode. This is a tough one, but I would say the dialogue spoken by multiple characters truly kicked ass. I'm going to simply state some of the most epic statements made in the episode, or at least quote a little bit of it, maybe not the whole thing, but a lot of it. Sorry if there are any repeats, but I gotta say these are awesome. Now, Commander Erwin, and I quote, "Not yet, but it will be. All soldiers charge. We've come to the moment of truth. Mankind's fate is decided now. There is no future in which we reclaim these lands without Eren, and there never will be. Go. Recover Eren from the armored titan and retreat. Your heart and soul to the cause. Unquote. Now this next quote is when he got his arm ripped off, and this is just nice. This is beyond nice. And I quote, "Advance. I said advance, god damn it. Eren's right in front of you. Do not falter." Unquote. God, that voice actor is good. That voice actor is good as hell. Nicely done voice acting. Love that part. Now, I won't say the whole thing, but I'm going to repeat some excerpts of Bertolt when he was speaking to the 5 scouts that were talking to him through Reiner's hands. Quote, "No, you're wrong. Who chooses to be this? Tell me. We're lost. We can live 1,000 years and never again know peace. But please, I beg of you, if we were comrades, someone find us." And then the scene zooms in on Ymir. And then another epic line. "I'm sorry, I can't." When Mikasa asks him to give Eren back, he says, "I'm sorry, I can't. One of you has to do it. One of you has to stain your hands with my blood." Unquote. And then for some reason, the scene pans to Armin. Next one. Mikasa speaking to Historia. Historia is pleading and begging Mikasa to not kill Ymir. When we get to this one part, right after Historia makes her plea, Mikasa goes full rage mode, and she says, "That all depends on her. What will it be? She can step aside or she can die. Her choice. Listen, there's only so many lives I can give a damn about. Cruel. But that's what the world our enemies gave us 6 years ago. Sorry, I don't have any heartstrings left for you to tug on. You want compassion? Move on. You want fair? Tough shit. Time's wasting. Pick your side, Krista. Eren or the bitch I'm gonna kill." Unquote. God, that was nice. Whoever wrote that, I love you. And the voice actors who did that pulled it off perfectly. Love you. Perfect. And then another one. Armin. Now this was really nice. Armin when he's mind fucking Bertolt. Quote, "So you're okay with this? Leaving your friend behind to face the music? I guess Annie was weighing you down. Do you know where she is? Way up north in the Utopia district. Being tortured. The silent treatment can only go so far. The body may heal, but her screams are an object lesson on the limits of endurance. Oh, don't worry. They're taking special care she doesn't die. Or get a moment's rest. So many methods. So little time. Mustn't waste a prize specimen like Annie. She's too precious." Unquote. And then in response to that, Bertolt finally snaps and he says, "Shut your mouth, Hellspawn. I'll kill you." Unquote. I love that. Again, another really nicely done, nicely animated, nicely written, and nicely acted sequence. Love that. Also, I thought this was interesting that in this episode, there's a lot more swearing where characters' words need some intensity. And it feels, I could be wrong, but I get this feeling the writers were having fun writing the dialogue for this episode in the English dub. But that's just my guess. The entire episode, as far as I'm concerned, was nothing but near genius writing and character interaction crafted by the soon-to-be legendary Asayama Hajime. And also, a huge credit to the writers for the English dub. And how they carefully crafted the wording for the English dialogue. Loved it. Again, like I said before, So much intensity, beautifully laced into everyone's words. Nicely done. The worst thing about the episode, nothing. There was absolutely nothing wrong with this episode at all. Everything was on point. Everything. Favorite scene? This was hard to choose, but I think just by a hair, I would go with Erwin Smith, and when he's cutting Aaron free from Bertolt with one freaking arm. How he even manipulated the ODM gear with the left arm, only a left arm, and then slashed the sword and stayed up, and how he did all that, I don't know, but the sequence was sweet, just really sweet. And then I would say right behind that, almost on the same level, are Mikasa's speech to Historia, Armin and how he mindfucked Bertolt with those lies about Annie, and then Reiner plowing through the Titans, getting dogpiled before intentionally bitch smacking the Titans and using them as a weapon against the scouts. Like, all these sequences were just incredibly good scenes. Very good sequences. 1 to 10 score, I give this pretty much a perfect 10. And overall, here's what I'm going to say. This episode really brought everything to such a high level of awesome. The dialogue was epic. The animation was magnificent. The intensity was high. The action was great. The music fit with every scene perfectly. The character interactions were on a whole other level of psychological understanding of how human beings operate. This episode 11, Charge, was just non-stop good from beginning to end. Probably one of the best episodes of Season 2, up there with Episode 6, Warrior. Again, this was incredibly well crafted and incredibly nice episode. Absolutely loved it. Attack on Titan's been good as hell so far the entire Season 2, as far as I'm concerned. So that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have something that you can take away from this review. Maybe you'll leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the episode. So please like, subscribe, and share for more. Also, click the donate button on the channel so you can help support me keeping these videos posted and supplying more content to the channel. That's all for now. I'm out. You have a nice day. Peace.